Welcome to Mountain Man Explore the Truth. How's everybody doing today or tonight, depending on the time you're listening to the podcast? I hope you are doing well, my friends. Today we're going to be welcoming on Carter Buschardt. He is going to come on and share some of his Bigfoot experience. He's wrote 5 books. I'm looking forward to hearing about it, and I'll have to go check him out myself. He's also had an abduction, experience that he wanted to share too, so maybe we'll have time to bring that on, or we'll do a part 2. So we'll see where this goes. I think I've heard of him on other podcast shows. It sounds familiar of all the experience he's had. So after he showed these pictures to me, I'm like, man, I feel like I've seen these somewhere. So I'm very interested in hearing what he's got to say. So I hope you enjoy the show, guys. So stay tuned. We're bringing him on shortly. If you'd like to come on the show, please email me at mountainmanett@gmail.com, or you can message me on Facebook. All right, guys, here we go. Today we welcome on Carter. Carter, welcome to the show.
How you doing?
Doing great. Go ahead and tell people about yourself, what you're doing.
Well, I'm Carter Buschardt. I live in Liberty, Missouri, which is technically Kansas City, and I have been researching Sasquatch for about 15 years. I've led actually 4 expeditions for BFRO, dozens and dozens of night ops that are not BFRO related, just, going out with, half a dozen people at night. I've written 4 books, actually 5 books on Sasquatch. They're the Evidence of an Enigma series, 1 through 5. I've just called them that just for simply easier to remember. But most of these people I have met, a lot of these came from reports I've done for BFRO, and their habituation properties. In other words, these are people that live with Sasquatch on their property, and they interact with them daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever they want. It's a crazy. I'll explain it later when you start asking questions, but it's really crazy how it evolved.
Mm-hmm.
All this data that I ended up with evolved. It was just crazy. And my 6th book, I finished last year, was I was abducted as a child, and I'm 74 now. I didn't find out until 24 years ago. I lived my entire life without knowing I was abducted. I found out quite by accident, and it's a bizarre story, but aren't all alien abductions kind of bizarre stories? But it's just weird how I found out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a whole that's a movie right there. If
Oh, I
somebody wants,
bet.
it's really bizarre. I had no idea. My entire life, I had no idea. So that's kind of how I got here. I'm just an old rock and roll drummer, hippie. Don't have the hair anymore. I got more hair on my back than I do on my head. Uh,
I feel you
but
there. That's why I wear my hat, thinned out on
yeah,
top. So,
I thought, I shaved my head yesterday and it looks pretty good. There's no stubble. So I thought I'll go naked today. See what it looks.
yeah, it looks good.
So
That's what I try to do. I shave it down when it starts getting prickly up there. I'm like, oh, but wear a hat today.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not trying to fool anybody, so I'd rather just stay bald. You just got to make sure you
Yeah.
wear a hat when you go outside. So
Well, I love that. That sounds like you had a lot of experience through a life, and me getting into this was just, I always found Bigfoot fascinating and UFOs and all these other weird cryptid things popping up. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do a podcast on this because I think it's important that people come out and tell their truth and get like-minded people on.
yeah, no, it's incredibly important, and that's why I wrote the books. It's I'm not making any money on the books, so it is to get the word out
Mm-hmm.
so that people who see your podcast, hear the podcast, go, I told you, Betty, we need to tell somebody. B- People are dying to share their story, but they don't know who to tell and who to trust. You
Exactly.
know, so all of my witnesses are their names are fictitious, their locations, if even mentioned at all, are fictitious. Who they are and where they are located means nothing. It's the stories and the decades, generations with some of these families that they've dealt and lived with the Sasquatch on their property. It's just it's just bizarre, you know. Uh, those that know will understand how crazy it is. Those that don't know will go, ah, boy, I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm buying that. That's kind of weird, you know.
I
But
feel you there. You know, a lot of people look at me weird when I tell them about my experience, and I'm like, well, it's what I experienced. I don't know what to tell you. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. Well, people look at me weird just because I don't wear pants, sometimes.
Yeah.
So once the cops let me go,
Yeah.
I got the message. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm
That's a
an
good
old
one.
smartass. I can't help it.
I love it. So yeah, let's get right into what would you like to start with? The abduction, you say, or
That's up to you. We could start with that. There's no photos with the abduction, but it's a bizarre, bizarre story.
yeah, let's
And
go ahead.
I could talk for 2 hours on that alone.
Oh, you
So
could, huh? Okay, maybe we'll do the Bigfoot first and see where that goes, and then if we do have time, we'll maybe put a little
yeah,
bit of that in
we
there.
could do a
So
different podcast if you like. But
part two
the
or something. Yeah.
abduction, yeah, the with all the photos I've sent you, and with the ones I can show you the same photos I sent you.
Yeah.
Uh, it's pretty remarkable. So what happened? Uh, I started doing reports for BFRO. Uh, you know, God, I don't remember how long ago, 12, 15 years ago. And, and I've had 100 reports published to BFRO, not turned in, published. So that's a lot, you know. And so I don't know if you've talked to any BFRO people or not, but the process is, there's the website and you go in and you can read a report, assign it to you, and then you call the witness and you talk to them. Just start a dialogue. What's going on? And so and that's how I got into it. But when I was interviewing the people, and I call them my habituation witnesses because the Sasquatch and the humans are getting habituated to one another. They're getting used to seeing them on their properties and interacting if they wish. Uh, so people call in reports and it's all typed out and you read the report. Well, I saw a Sasquatch walk across my road on my 50-acre property and I couldn't believe it. Walk behind a tree and that kind of stuff. But when I'm talking to people, I, I get the sneaking suspicion they weren't telling me everything, and they
Mm-hmm.
weren't. Say, well, my grandpa, he used to see them all the time, and he'd say they'd vanish, and they'd disappear, and do all this other weird stuff, portals and UFOs and all this, and I don't believe any of that stuff, and so I'm just turning in my report, but it turned out they were just BSing me because they wanted to get their foot in the door and talk about some type of sighting and interaction with Sasquatch, but they weren't telling me everything. And the reason, fear of ridicule and mockery.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who has seen a Sasquatch or even brought it up in mixed company or a UFO or a dogman, any of that stuff, you hear the snickering and that just shuts you up right off the bat. You will not talk about it in mixed company probably ever again. And that's what most of my witnesses were doing. They were just hedging their bet. They wanted to see if I was one of these kind that was going to make fun of them, ridicule them, and go, "Oh yeah, really? Uh huh."
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I started talking to them. I said, "Listen, I, I get the funny feeling you're trying not to tell me something." And I'm a poker player. I read people, so I kind of get I get the vibe that you're BSing me, and not out of her cruelty. You're trying to protect yourself, so I get it. So people started opening up eventually. And I said, "Listen, you tell me your report," and this is when I started deciding to write the books. Actually, I just started writing one book during COVID because I couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. I ended up writing 5 books during COVID because well, you still couldn't go. COVID lasted forever, and so
Sure did, didn't it?
my home detention lasted forever. So anyway, uh, I got people to open up, and they were telling me the most incredible things uh, that I had heard, that they are interacting with the Sasquatch people, forest people, on their property if they want to. The Sasquatch people can interact with the humans if they want to. It's like one of those uneasy truces. There's nothing etched in stone. You see them when you're out, mowing the North 40. You see them when you're fishing. You're going out baling hay. You see one walking around looking at you, watching you bale hay and wondering what the heck you're doing with that big tractor thing. And so they're telling me basically a day in their lives of all these years of watching the Sasquatch. And it just got to be, it just kept reproducing. Well, then they tell me, I gotta send you to my cousin. My cousin was going to call you because he's got a story. And so that's how it started. So I filled up 5 books. There's probably 1,500, 2,000 pages worth of reports and interviews with all my habituation families. I go visit them. Haven't been in a couple of years because of COVID and people's reluctance to interact, even though technically it's over. But I'll go visit them, spend the night, interact, see things. I get the stories. Some of them have the Sasquatch show them their newborn babies,
Hmm.
Sasquatch. They're that comfortable. I've got one family that walks about a quarter of a mile up to their mailbox. They got about 200 acres. And they walk up in the morning. They walk the dog. That's his exercise for the day. So they walk up quarter mile, go to the road, get their mail, walk back to the house. And when they get up to the house, up to the mailbox and getting their mail, that's when every now and then a Sasquatch will peek out from behind a tree, standard tree peeking stuff. But one morning they were holding a baby Sasquatch. Looks like a little chimp. And who has that happen? I mean, it's just
Yeah.
when you think about it, some of these things when I start talking about them, I get kind of teary eyed because it's like that's such an emotional thing for me to have them share it with me. I've experienced some things on their properties myself that I can't
That's
explain,
amazing.
and I had about 12 families. I'm down to about 8. A few of them have chosen to not be contacted by me. They'll contact me if they want to interact because they don't want to jinx it. They don't want to jeopardize anything. They don't want to, if they want to have me out, I say, well, the Sasquatch people know I'm a researcher. They will know that. So they may not interact with me while I'm there. They may not interact with you while I'm there. They may not interact with you after I leave because how dare you bring a researcher out here with my cameras and microphones and all that stuff. But that's the stories. And that's, I've got some really, really good photos, but these people, their kids are seeing them and interacting and they're so fascinated. So that's how I got this going. And so this is my 3rd book.
Wow. It looks like a pretty thick book too. So
It's 260, 280 pages.
wow. Yeah, I
That's
find
one of
that hand right there very impressive. It looks massive, really wide on the fingertips. And
yeah.
wow, man.
Well, here's the deal. Notice now this is the preacher man.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Of course, your camera's backwards, but the time, date, stamp. What he's doing in this photo, he's going out and checking cameras. They have about 32, 35 cameras on this 22-acre piece of property. Now, he doesn't own this property. The landowner owns it. And so, but he lets the preacher hunt on his property to help family. because being a country preacher, you don't get paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
So they, he lets him harvest deer and whatever else he can find, and in return, he helps him maintain the cameras. So they about every couple of months they'll go check the SD cards for photos. They'll check the batteries, they make sure everything's working. Take the cards out and replace them, and go check for photos and all that. So this day, he's out. I'm gonna get this out of the way. He's out walking around, and if you notice, you see the tree lying behind him horizontally. It's a fallen tree. You see the rest of the trees are all up straight, up and down.
Mm-hmm.
You see the shadow
Yeah, I
where
see
he's
it.
walking. The shadow is just a small grove of trees that's casting a shadow. Now, the time date stamp is 3:12 and 36 seconds. So it's 12 minutes after 3 and 36 seconds when he's tripping the camera. Check out the second camera. It's the same camera. If you notice, the shadow has gotten half as dark as it was because this being, this creature, bumped the camera. If you see the trees in the background, they're swaying like they're blowing in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
Not blowing in the wind. He bumped the camera. This creature bumped the camera.
Wow.
And the hand, the creature, tripped the same camera 4 seconds later.
That's fascinating.
1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. He didn't see it. He didn't smell it. He didn't hear it. It just appeared. We
Wow.
believe it just literally materialized out of nowhere. They've got other standard issue footprints that start and stop in the middle of nowhere. So you've heard that before.
Yeah, I've
There's
always
a
found that
trail.
interesting because it's like they're
Well,
coming.
because they can shift into another portal, another dimension.
Yeah, that makes sense because you wonder, you follow these footprints and they disappear.
Yeah,
So it's like they're not going. I mean, in the middle of nowhere, where'd they go? You know.
yeah, yeah.
So
And so it's just it's just mind-boggling that
it
they
is.
got this photo. It's even more mind-boggling that they shared it with me.
Yeah.
And the hands, the fingers, I'm not so sure if it's fingers or toes. I've never seen they looked like they're a little stilted, but I think this was a young one.
Yeah. It's strange looking. It's got like,
Yeah, it's different, but
yeah,
it could be feet,
that's
but there's
possible.
no hair. That's why I do think it's a young one who hasn't developed its hair. Of course,
Yeah.
I'm just taking a dart and throwing it at the dartboard because I don't know, but whatever that is, that ain't human.
Yeah, I was thinking more like a fingertips, like their tip of the fingers, the way it looked on the
Yeah,
side
yeah,
there. That's interesting. Yeah, wow. Yeah, when I saw those, when you sent to me, I was kind of looking at those going, whoa, you could just see the thickness on it. And I'm going to definitely
yeah,
share, be sure the audience know, be sure to wait to the end of the episode. I'll share all the photos that he shared with me on those, and that way you can
yeah.
check them
I'll
out.
share the ones that I've sent you, so the stories will all match.
Yeah.
So uh, now this guy's a preacher. The owner is I can't identify him because he has connections to large government agencies.
Gotcha.
Retired, but he's got stuff he's told me I can't tell or he'll kill me. That kind of thing.
Keep it on the
I mean, I'm
down
just
low. So,
yeah, keep it on the down low because I know where you live.
it's
So
interesting that
anyway,
you say that because I had guests come forward that were hesitating to come on, and they haven't came on because they said they can't talk about it. They know some things with the government, with involvement with these things, And they said that's all they could say. And I go, well, why'd you leave a cliffhanger on me? Why can't you tell me? Why don't you come on the show? They just can't. So I respected that, but it just tells me
Yeah.
there's something going on, and they know about it.
Well, there is something going on, and I hate to interrupt the story with this, but
I apologize
on
for
my
interrupting.
on my sixth my last Sasquatch book, this one here, We Are Not Dumb Apes.
Mm-hmm.
I was contacted by the Library of Congress,
Wow.
who does the copyrights. They sent me an email, several emails. What is your source? Is this AI? They were asking a lot of weird questions. And I'm not trying to put myself in the same league as those, UFO guys that are disappearing left and right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
you don't, I
they
wouldn't
were
want that.
asking just weird questions. And I've written 6 books. This is the first book they've ever questioned. Is this AI? Who took the photos? Where are the photos from? Just asking weird questions I've never been asked before. Why do you even care? I'm an old hippie writing Sasquatch books. What's the big deal, But there's that now with all these generals and researchers, UFO people disappearing, never to be seen again. They just found that woman's skeletal remains here, a week ago, 10 days, in New Mexico or Arizona. So it's just, you know, are you getting too close? Are we getting too close? Do they just don't want to scare you off? My personal opinion is they shut down the government for 3 or 4 years. Library of Congress, all kinds of branches of the government. And these people weren't getting paid. Some were getting paid a little, but they were quitting left and right. And in the last year, they finally opened up the government, released a lot of money in funds, and these people started getting paid again. Well, I think they may have hired some people because they had a great exodus of people quitting uh, the Copyright Office and various branches of government because they weren't getting paid. You want your job, you want your benefits? Well, just hang on. Does your spouse work? Well, they can support you while you're waiting here to get paid by the government because Trump and whatever else is going on. They were freezing all the money.
Yeah.
So I thought what they did was hired a couple of young guns that wanted to make a name for themselves, and so they started going through the books and looking for errors or looking for things they were looking for anyway. And they just never found them with me because all my stuff's legit and I do the proper thing and pay all my fees and all that. So I thought maybe that was why they were questioning me, but I don't know. It was just weird. Even
It
my
is
wife
weird.
was going, "That's weird. Maybe we should sleep in separate bedrooms in case they want to come off me."
Freaking her out a little bit. She's like, you can get over there.
Yeah, well, okay, I've slept on the couch before. It's not the first time.
I've
So
heard a lot of, people experience stuff like that where you're getting into
it's
it and
it's
and
it's just it made my flesh crawl just a little bit. It's just like what
mhm.
possible interest do you have with an old fart like me right now? It's just stupid.
They're trying to figure
So
out how
anyway,
much you know.
yeah, well, I know more than most people, but that's just
Yeah.
because I've been out in the woods for years and years and years, and I do my work and I do my research and I write about it. So, but anyway, but that is one of the stories in the book. Now, here's another really good picture.
Yeah, I was fascinated by that one. Wow. You can clearly tell that's some kind of face and it's big.
Yep. Now,
Wow.
what it's doing, this family grows vegetables, lots and lots of fruits and vegetables for a lot of farmers markets where the people are older and they can't tend to their gardens like they used to. So these people buy their produce at reduced rates and then go sell them out of their pickups at the farmers market just to interact with people and have a life, especially old people. So they have these what I call Quonset huts. And I'm trying to see if I've got one. Okay, this is what they grow their vegetables in.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's Quonset hut, just metal with the
yeah.
plastic. So what you're seeing,
Definitely a big garden.
yeah. Well, they had a lot of fruit and vegetables disappearing from their growing operation. They got about 4 of these huts. I've been to the property. So they got about 4 of these big huts. And stuff started disappearing. Now they'd seen the Sasquatches watching them, and they watched the Sasquatch. They walk around the property. They just watch them as they're working, playing with the cats or the dog, grandkids. They're working, farming the property, chopping wood. They're fascinated with the family operation. Well, the Sasquatch have families too. And so they're watching these people interact with their family, their kids, their older kids, their grandparents, the newborn, all that. So they're watching all this. So they're part of the action there. So anyway, food started disappearing, and they thought at first it was neighbors breaking in and stealing food because they can't afford it, or they can't grow it, or don't want to grow it. They just want to steal it.
Yeah.
So they thought it was that. Well, they just chalked some of that up to whatever. Well, so they put up lights and a camera. So if somebody did go in there and trip it, because they're out in the middle of nowhere, there's no way they would have a need to put up cameras. As far as like if you and I lived in a neighborhood and the guy across the street stealing car parts from you, So, but there's no need for that out in the boonies. But they were losing their food, and they weren't sure they trusted some of the neighbors, so they put up cameras. So one night, the kid who runs the operation for him, he's about 25, 26, 27, somewhere in there. The alarm goes off, beep, 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 and the lights go on out there. So he sees the lights go on out by the grow huts. So he grabs his phone, runs out there. It's about 11:30, and he runs out to the hut, and he sees something moving in the woods. All of a sudden, he hears all this screaming coming from the right side of the woods, as he's getting near the hut. Then he hears all this more screaming going on as he gets closer to the hut. It's on the left side. Then as he gets right to the hut before he walks in, he hears screaming from inside the hut. And it's a juvenile Sasquatch. He's caught. He's trapped in the hut. He doesn't know what to do, and he runs out the front door. He brushes up against the kid. They touch.
Wow.
He runs right by him, and they touch. He could have kissed him. So what they were doing before they caught them, I'll show this picture again.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's impressive. Looks like it was pressing against her, huh? Wow.
He was pressing against. Now, what they do in the winter, they have propane tanks that they heaters that they run into all the huts to keep the food from freezing. So this was November, December, sometime. Anyway, so they are looking out. They are watching, and they're putting their face up to the plastic and looking around for the humans. And he made a face print. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, you could see the hair follicles. You can see, the mustache, the eye sockets. You could see everything. And it's so clear. If you could only see this.
Wow.
It's amazing. You can see the lips,
Yeah,
the
that
chin,
is amazing. The
You can
nose.
see the goatee. I mean, it's crazy. So that's what they do is they put their. And I have about 8 or 9 other photos like this, but they're nowhere near as clear. And some of them have 4 or 5 little heads, all pressed up to the
Wow.
plastic.
That's
It's like the
amazing.
little family looking out for the humans.
Yeah,
And so,
to the listeners, if you're hearing this, you're gonna have to go to our YouTube channel to check it out and see the pictures.
yeah, well, just buy the book.
Or buy the books. Check out
Help
his
me pay
book.
some bills.
Yeah.
So this is the door
Wow.
that it ran out and ran right by him. Now, what you see that up there, you see the handprint.
Yeah,
See
that's
that
amazing.
handprint?
That's a big handprint too.
Yeah. Well, here's the kid I was telling you about.
Oh wow.
That handprint,
That's
and I've
impressive.
got another one in one of my books. It's 11 and a half inches from the base of the palm to the tip of the middle finger. 11 and a
Wow.
half inches. And that's just him
That's a big
showing
guy.
the disparity of the size.
And it doesn't look like it was smeared or anything, just like a press, hand
It's
press.
a press. It's
Yeah.
smeared a little bit, the
Yeah, but not like crazy smear. You know how you can just go
no,
down and
no. Well, it's
so
just like, and it's wet,
yeah. So just a
and
slight
you're
smear, but it's still showing the
yeah.
hand shape. That's impressive. That's very impressive.
It's it's proof
It is.
as
It is
far as
proof.
I'm concerned, and I've been out with these people. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. Uh, and so that's another one of my habituation families, and they're
Yeah.
very generous with their time and their information. And I've gotten all kinds of data from them. This past winter, uh, they were chopping wood for the winter that just passed. And so they have a place where they chop wood. It's back in this area where there's a lot of heavy tree fall, and it's been there forever. And for whatever reason, the tree fall continues on this area. It's on their property, which butts up to a forest area that's part of the where they live. It's
Mm-hmm.
everybody uses it, but when they were chopping wood this season, he had to dig down and grab a couple of trunks that had kind of gotten buried and pushed down. So he pulled them out of the way. And underneath this fallen tree that was horizontal, he found, I forget how many, 12 to 15 peanut butter jars, empty with the lids on them. And I told him, well, if you want to attract them, they love peanut butter. So they've been leaving peanut butter. I said, glue the tops to the peanut butter jar, glue it really good, put super glue on though. So you'll know it's opposable thumbs opening it up. And so that's what they did. And they're all opened and they're all cleaned out totally.
Wow.
And they put the lids back on them and hid them from the family. He just accidentally found them this past winter. And
That's amazing.
it's just going, I wondered what they were doing with those things, and one of the things about my habituation people is that they will forget to tell you things
Mm-hmm.
because it's such an everyday thing. Well, I hadn't talked to you all about a month or two. What's been going on? Well, we had to buy a new tractor. Thelma went and got her a new hairdo. Went to Taco Bell, and Crystal, she's going to college now. And oh, did I tell you I saw a Sasquatch last week? No, because it's such a routine. They don't think about it until you ask them, unless it's like an incredible event that they can't wait to tell you about. Just think about, what did you do, Blake, a week ago today at 2 in the afternoon?
Oh, work.
Okay. Well, see, but do you think about telling me all the things you did? Like I
No,
went to
no,
Taco
that's a
Bell,
good point.
I went to Walmart and got some new work boots. I
Mm-hmm.
did this and that, and it's just
No, it
they
slips your
see
mind.
them or interact with them on a whatever basis, regular type basis they want.
That's just amazing that they just look at like, oh, that's just a Bigfoot, no big deal. You
Yeah.
know?
Oh,
That's incredible.
that's the red one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the clan leader right there.
Wow.
And
That's
they
amazing.
just they don't think about it. And I have an open invitation for probably 5 of my families. Anytime I call them, I just call them up and say, "Hey, can I come visit?" And invariably, it's, "Yeah, come on,
That's
spend the night."
awesome. So they've been
And
growing up around these things for a while, and they're just like,
yeah, yeah, and these people have, I think, 30 some odd acres. This family, another family, they've got a couple hundred acres.
wow.
Uh, it just it boggles the mind. I'm trying to think uh, what other that other photo I sent you of the fingerprints on the windows. Let me see if I can find.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that too. The little fingerprints and the detail of it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, here it is. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay,
Oh yeah.
dermal ridges, baby,
Yeah, you can see them.
and look at the hair.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Copyright Carter Buschardt. Don't steal it, or I'll have to kill you.
You
And
heard him.
the other photo. Look at that little hair
Yeah. Wow.
and the dermal ridges.
Was there actually hair stuck to it too, or?
Yeah, there was this right here. See that?
Yeah.
It's like a little short hair, like a little pube or something. I don't know what it is, but
Man.
it's just a hair. But look at the hair on this finger
Yeah, you can see the.
on
Wow.
the side.
That's crazy. Must have been like the
Now,
top of the fingers when it's pressing.
yeah, yeah. And the spot on the top is a flash bulb from
Wow.
taking a photo with her camera phone.
Yeah.
Now, those photos of those fingers are inside her house. They got in the house, probably spiritually speaking, they
Like a paranormal
manifested
type effect.
themselves and came
Yeah.
into the house. They had just built this house. I've known her for a while. She's gone squatching with me a couple times. She's a real nice lady. Her husband was a skeptic, and he's no longer a skeptic. But so they built a house and a brand new house, and they left her father take their old house, and they built a brand new house so they could take care of him. He had his separate place, their old house, so he had his own autonomy. He was sort of on his own, but not. So they stored the windows and all their building supplies on the property in the big barn. And so they come out and get it and take it as the workers came. They would just take it and put it in there. So she had cleaned after they were through building the whole house. She cleaned everything outside and inside, cleaned everything. She's very anal.
Mm-hmm.
And she sat down in her easy chair to sit down one morning. She sat down in her easy chair, drinking a cup of tea, and just looking out the window, enjoying the first official view from inside to the outside. And what she was looking at was this area where the Sasquatch stand by the trees and watch them as they're building the house, living their life, doing whatever. She cleaned everything and she sat down, had her tea, and she's looking at that window. She's going, God dang it. Who touched my window? She was pissed because, I cleaned this house. I was so tired of waiting for this day where I could sit down and enjoy my brand new house for the first time, and there's a fingerprint. So she immediately got up, went outside to clean it. Well, it was inside the house.
That's
It wasn't
creepy.
outside, it was inside. And she called me and she goes, "Oh, you're not going to believe this." I said, "Yeah, I think I am, but go ahead and tell me." And she told me, and she sent me the photos. They have materialized. She has heard them in the house walking around, moving furniture, uh, just being in the house. She has felt and heard them and seen things moving in the house, like furniture being moved around. So she was flabbergasted that they came into the house. And I said, "Well, they could have touched the window while it was in storage out in your locked barn, but that would have involved them alerting the dogs, getting in there, and maybe breaking in because you locked it because they're out in the middle of nowhere and people can come by and steal stuff and you never know it."
Hmm.
So, but what a fingerprint! That is such a great print.
That is. When I was looking at it in the photo, I was like, whoa, that's pretty damn
Yeah,
good. And
yeah,
that shocks me. It's inside the
yeah. It
house.
was inside the house. Now, this one is on another property. The first one I showed you with the handprint and the preacher.
Yeah.
Okay, this is on a separate property that butts up to the property where they got those photos.
Oh wow.
Now, look at this. Look very carefully. It's a trail cam photo in a negative because I was trying to get more detail.
Yeah, I see that.
What do you see? You see the deer?
See a deer, and it looks like something to the left.
Yeah, look real close.
Yeah, I
It's a
see
hand.
the shape.
It's a hand.
Is that the shape of a hand?
Yeah, it's a hand and a thumb.
Wow. Let me see that again. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I see it now. Wow.
You look at it on your computer. I'll
Yeah, I
send it.
will.
That was an incredibly lucky photo that looks like a deer about to be dinner.
Looks like he's about to grab it.
Yeah, that photo was 5:30 in the morning.
Wow.
So this little deer may have been dinner because it walked right in front of the camera and the Sasquatch.
Wow. Yeah, it was definitely looking like it was getting ready to go grab it.
If you look at it, tell me if you don't think that's a hand. But I can go on and on.
Yeah.
It's just, these people are just sending me. It's the gift that keeps on giving me my habituation, and they hear conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of my families, I'll just tell you this story. One that has been very, very generous with me as far as letting me come and go. They've had me over. I've spent the night. I've met a lot of the family several times. And so they, I think the first time I went out there, we'd had several chats before and we, shared a lot of knowledge. But what they kind of do on a Saturday night every now and then is they will get a case of beer, they'll ice it down on a cooler, get some snacks and sit on the front porch, and they'll just interact with the Sasquatch, most of the juveniles. They got a gravel road. If you sit on the front porch, and then there's a gravel road that goes in front of their house, and then on the other side of that road is several stands of trees, and they will throw sticks and twigs back and forth, and then they'll throw them back at my people. So I sat out there one night. cheap entertainment. You don't have to rent a movie. Don't look up something on Netflix. You just sit out there and start throwing rocks and twigs back and forth with the Sasquatch people, and they throw it back and forth with you.
That's awesome.
That was cool. Here's a really good part. Uh, they said, now introduce yourself, Carter. Introduce yourself to our friends. I said, well, what do I do? I said, well, just give them your best howl, and just introduce. Say, hey, my name's Carter. Just introduce yourself, because it's the first time they've seen you. So I did my best howl, and I said, hello, I'm Carter. How are you? In my exact voice. Hi, Carter. How are you? It comes back in my exact voice.
That's creepy.
They can mimic anything.
Wow.
And so I'm going, okay, where's cousin Bob? Is he out there in the woods jacking with me? What's going on here?
You guys yanking my chain or what?
Yeah. No, it was just there, in the deep, deep country here in Missouri. This family is devoutly religious. The other family with the face print, they're devoutly religious. The preacher on that other property, of course, he's a preacher. They're all devoutly religious, good country folk. Don't rob, don't steal. They work hard. They get dirty and they work their butts off.
Oh, yeah.
They go to church, and they know the difference between, for them, there's no mistaking Sasquatch for Nephilim or anything of that nature. They clearly know the difference, and just know them to be another being that is so far ahead of us. I can't even explain some of the things they do and see. So I know they are not the Nephilim. This is just another being on the planet that we just don't know what it is. So, and I have probably 4 or 5 of my families. If the husband goes off to work, or the wife goes off to work, and the other remaining spouse is out working in the garden, mowing the yard, doing whatever while the other spouse has gone to work, they will hear, Puddin', where you at? You out back? A husband calling his wife, except he's gone. He's at work. It's in her husband's exact voice, to the point where she calls him at work. Are you jacking with me? Are you at work? I thought you're at work today. I am at work. What the heck's going on? Well, you just call my name. Are you messing with me? And it's his exact voice. Or if it's a guy, he'll hear his wife's voice calling to him from somewhere on the property in the exact voice. They can mimic anything.
That's amazing.
You've heard that.
It's kind of crazy how they can just sound exactly like their voice. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, well, it's what they do on a daily basis. I have them here on my property, imitating owls.
I've heard of that.
I have barred owls in my back. I live on 1 acre in the middle of the city, but it's heavily, heavily wooded. And why they're here, I don't know. But I had lunch with somebody yesterday, and she was telling me, well, they're probably just keeping in touch with you to let you know that you're still one of the cool guys. You're on their list. Because I hear this barred owl, it gets really loud and gargly, and that ain't no owl. I mean, it's too loud. I'm looking around. My wife's going, "What is it?" Well, it's an owl. It's just got something in its throat or something. I don't bother her with all the paranormal quantum type stuff, but she's experienced it herself with me. So, but they're here at my property. I led an expedition in Iowa And we were staying there listening in the dark. It's about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. We hear this. It starts coughing. It's a Sasquatch mimicking an owl, and it chokes and starts coughing right in
I
the
was like, oh,
middle.
damn it, now I'm busted.
It was hilarious. We're all laughing our butts off. I'm going, well, hey, Rock, you got it. You screwed that up. Try it again. And he did. He got it right that time. He didn't choke. But it's just, if you're hearing these things for the first time, you don't understand or don't believe it at all. Well, I get it, but they can mimic anything: car engines, owls, dogs, cats, anything they need. I got all kinds of stories about that stuff.
That's
But
interesting.
yeah, but have you heard that they can mimic?
Yeah, yeah. I've heard
It's
people talk about the owl sounds they mimic, and then they can mimic people and other
Yep,
strange sounds, and people are like, "What the hell is that? We're in the middle of nowhere,"
yeah.
And it's interesting because I moved from Oregon. I was living
Oh,
around
heck,
Mountain Hood.
I'm preaching
Um,
to the choir.
yeah, I moved down to Southeast Texas, and it's been interesting down here. I'm right by the Big Thicket Reserve, and I've been hearing weird, strange owl sounds that don't sound like an owl to me.
Yeah, I'm
And
from Texas. I live in Dallas.
oh, right on.
I
Yeah, I'm
spent my
liking
life
it
there.
so far. I'm liking it so far, but I don't like the humidity level over here. But other than that, it's not bad.
Well, I'm in Missouri right now, and it's humid as heck. It's
Yeah,
nasty out today.
yeah,
I always laugh about people because I'm from Texas, and people here are bitching about the heat.
yeah.
I'm going, in Texas at 10 o'clock at night, it's still 95
It
degrees. You guys
is.
are
Yeah.
belly aching because it's 88.
Yeah, here I am. I come from Oregon, and I was used to the cold weather, and we the summers are get hot, but I was used to the cold weather and all that. And I come down here, I'm going, oh man, I run hot now. I'm even hotter.
Hmm.
I do like
Hmm.
the nicer weather though,
Yeah,
and the only
yeah.
reason I picked the spot's because there's a forest right by it, and I'm a mountain man. I love being in the forest, and I just
Yeah.
chose to move down here because it's better cost, and up there's
Well,
getting expensive. So
there's a really nice researcher, Gabriel Guerrero.
hmm,
You ought to get in touch with him
yeah,
because he might be somebody interesting. He does a lot of reports from mostly from truckers
interesting.
that see the Sasquatch as they're driving. He gets a lot of trucker reports.
That's
He's
interesting.
down in South Texas. I think he's sometime down there somewhere between East Texas and San Antonio, somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where he's at, but he's a real good guy.
He
That's
sounds
somebody else.
familiar. I think I might have heard his
Well,
name.
he
So
does a lot of reports. He's a
okay.
he's a he's a good guy. Real, very honest as the day is long. He's a real good guy.
Yeah, some people around here are hearing about what I do, and they're telling me a little bit about stories and experience they had out here. They call Bigfoot and Sasquatch something else down here too. I can't quite remember the names, but they called them
Booger,
yeah, that wood booger, and I think there was another name. And this Rougarou or something like that too over in Louisiana.
Rougarou, that's kind of more like Louisiana, Arkansas.
Yeah,
Rougarou.
yeah.
Uh, in fact, we went to this property and we're taping a show for one of the. Well, I don't know if it was A&E or something. We taped a show, and the producer and the assistant producer were constantly arguing. So it never got off the ground. All this really good footage is just sitting there. But they were talking about this growl that they had heard reports of. And I thought, you sure that's not a rougarou? Because growl and rougarou could sound the same. You know,
Mm-hmm.
from Texas, I'm used to that. So, but anyway, but my entire operation has been interviewing these habituation families that have them living on their properties, and every week, every month, to be more accurate, I'll get something. Someone will call me, and the lady with the fingerprint. I didn't mean to flip you off there, but the lady
That's all
with the
right.
uh, she has had more quantum bizarre activity. It looks like some kind of red craft or something is parking at the end of their driveway.
Interesting. Yeah.
bunch of and it's coming out at night, and you can see figures moving around like humanoid figures, but you can't really make them out.
That's
And
weird. Yeah.
yeah, and Dogman is coming to be a part, of this family here with the face on the plastic. Uh, he's got he was out there about this was October or November of last year. He called me, and he was out in one of these huts trimming dead growth off the bushes and plants and getting rid of rotten fruit and all that kind of stuff. And inside, and he's just standing there doing his business, and the dog man walks up, broad daylight, 3:30 in the afternoon. Now he's seen Sasquatch all the time. So he at first wasn't registering. Is this a baby Sasquatch or a juvenile or what am I looking at? What's going on here? And it was a dog man.
Mm-hmm.
And he was inside probably 10 feet away, and it's on the outside. And it's looking at him, and it's tilting its head like a puppy, like a dog's like, I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And his ears were flopping back and forth. And it came up to the plastic and was poking the plastic with his long fingernail. He said 3 or 4 inches long,
Wow.
long fingernail. He was just touching it like it was the quizzical look on his face, like it had never seen it before. He was just touching it and
Interesting.
doing just poking at it. And then it saw him. He saw it first, and it saw him, and it stopped what it was doing, and it just stared at him for a second and realized, well, you're no threat to me. I could eat you if I want. He went back to playing with the plastic, and it poked little holes in a circle and was just like fascinated, like it had never seen this material before. Then, right before it left, it took his claw and ran it down about a foot, sliced the plastic open. Then he took his claw and sliced like this and made an L and sliced it open again. Turned around, walked away. Didn't look back behind him to worry about the stupid human because you're not going to do anything to me. You
Yeah.
know, I've been watching you. And they've had a couple of reports. And somebody close by to that property has found stacks and stacks of bones. Baby hog. There's a big hog farm out near their operation. And they have found a cave over there. And in that cave were stacks and stacks of bones of baby hogs or even adult hogs that have been killed and eaten. And they stack these bones very nicely and neatly in this abandoned cave, which used to be an old silver mine. It's no longer productive. And that's 30, 40 miles from their house. So, Dogman, I haven't taken any Dogman reports up until the last 3 years. And suddenly, Dogman is coming into the scene.
Yeah, I find
And
the dog man very interesting, and I'm getting more and more people coming forward with the reports, and I'm trying to
yeah,
get more people to come on and talk about it because I've had a few, but it's definitely being talked about a lot more than the last 10 years, that's for sure.
yeah, it's really interesting. And,
Hmm.
of course, this family now, I've done dozens and dozens of night ops, and I'm out in the woods, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. You see these big humanoid silhouettes backlit by the moon walking around in the woods, watching you, watching them, and you're hearing them walk around. And, you know, I can't say that maybe some of those beings that I was looking at thinking they were Sasquatch could have been Dogman, you know, a humanoid, dark, giant figure far enough away where you can't make it out. You're out in the middle of the night, backlit by the moonlight or ambient light. So it could be that I've seen them before and just don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume they were Sasquatch, but and people were asking me because I've got 100 reports published to BFRO, but in the last 2 or 3 years, my habituation people have started reporting that they're seeing them, like this kid. Crazy. I mean, just
Yeah.
you know, and where's all the luck? But I'm getting some activity on my house, but I think it's the Sasquatch people just staying in touch with me. Like, you know, we know you're here. We know you're part of it because they do come to me at night. I meditate a lot. They have come to me in my sleep, in my dreams. I know this is very bizarre sounding, but if nobody has an open mind, then you shouldn't be listening to this show because you're going to
Exactly.
get a lot of weird
Exactly.
stuff.
And I believe that because I've heard a lot of people come forward and talk about that. They're
Yeah.
start to get a
Well,
connection with them.
yeah. No, what they did, and this happened. What time is it? Oh, it's 3 o'clock. I don't know. Are we okay on time?
Yeah, we're good. You can keep going. So,
Okay. Yeah. Uh, I led an expedition in Illinois, 2019. Now, that's just a simple old log.
oh,
You see
yeah.
the rocks. You see the rocks on one end,
Yeah.
and there's another rock here on this end right here.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay. Well, I led the expedition. I went out there. This was 2019 in New Murfreesboro, Illinois. Now, I went out and scouted the area. And what I normally do when I scout for any expedition or night ops, I go to the mom and pop restaurant in the little bitty towns and I eat and mingle with the bib overall crowd. You know, all the country fellas out there in their bib overalls. All the farmers go to eat breakfast together in the morning. They have coffee and talk about the stories, and this is how they kind of keep the community going. They gather to have meals, and they go off and work their farms. So I asked a couple of guys. I said, "Hey, where's a good place to maybe look for some Sasquatch?" They're going, "Yeah, well, buddy, I tell you, there's a place you don't want to go. I'll tell you where that is." And they told me. I said, "Well, thank you. That's where I'm going." Because he's saying, well, there's not a man, woman, or child in this town that'll go anywhere near that place after dark. They won't go there at all, but especially after dark. You're wasting your time. You don't want to go there. It's cursed. I said, okay, that's good. I've heard that before.
You're like, I'm
So
going.
yeah, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm ready. So I picked this area, and I come to find out it's the Trail of Tears.
Wow.
You're from the Trail of Tears, where all the Native Americans, the forced march from
I
the
think I've
East
heard of
Coast.
that before. Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's horrifying. What the white man did to the Native Americans was just horrifying.
Yeah. The past. Yeah.
I'm ashamed to be a white man because they killed and murdered thousands and thousands of Indians on the way to Arizona and the West Coast.
Yeah. It was a terrible time. It was.
Horrifying. It was the late 1800s. So I picked this area, and the area I picked is where 95 Native Americans froze to death in the winter of late 1800s. I don't know exact date. And they died there, and they were waiting to get to the Mississippi River, which was not that far, maybe 5 miles away from where I was the Mississippi River. But they froze to death. And so they were buried with Indian burial traditions and honors when they all died. Well, a big flood came through this area where I picked and washed everything out, washed all the graves and everything out, all their bones, their bodies, their carcasses, their blankets, their jewel, everything they had buried with them was out, just all over the place.
Wow.
So the white man, redneck goobers from this area, just crammed it all into holes, dug holes. They just put it back however they could, wherever, without any ceremony, any respect for the dead, and any of that. They just buried it so everybody'd shut up about it because they're tired of hearing about it. Well, that area was cursed because you're supposed to Native American burials. You need to be in their tribal colors or their blankets, yellow or red or other bright colors, in their possessions, which were very meager and not that many of them. So, but they just threw them in the hole, and the area was cursed forever. So I led this expedition there, and it was the weirdest thing. It was just this was COVID. So the reason I did the expedition because the other guy who was going to do it quit. A BFRO guy says, "I'm not going to go. Nobody's going. You can't go anywhere. I'm not going to do an expedition. There's nobody coming. Everybody's canceling their reservations because it's COVID, except for 4 people. They refuse to cancel. I want to go. I need to forget this COVID crap. I want to go and experience something just to break the monotony. So they went on the expedition and they had a great time. We camped at the Trail of Tears National Park, which is about 12 miles from this memorialized area.
Yeah.
Um, we got a lot of footprints, a lot of structures. It's really, really, really productive. These people were overjoyed. They had the time of their lives. But when I walked down at night, I had my partner Harold, who lives in Illinois. He was going to help me with the expedition until everybody decided not to go. But he was there anyway. So we walked down this ravine. It's about 100-yard ravine that was just completely washed out, rocky, jagged, and that's where the flash flood came through and washed out, and that's where all these Native Americans had been buried. So he has had several strokes, some cancer. He's got issues with walking, so he stayed in his truck in the parking lot with his radio, and so he was with us and he was reporting back to us while we're at night doing the night ops if he saw or heard anything that we should be aware of. He was in his truck, couldn't go out with us, but he was there, but not really there. So 2 days worth of this, and each night, Friday and Saturday night, we stopped at this log. It's about 75 feet down this 100-yard ravine, 75 yards down this 100-yard ravine, excuse me. And so we sat there and relaxed and said, let's go back to camp because walking is really stressful at night and it's dangerous and everybody's tripping and falling. So we walk back, come back Saturday night, and the hunting season had started. So there's a bunch of hunters up in the trees in their stuff, and they were kind of like, hello, waving at us as we were going down looking for Sasquatch. But anyhow, long story short, the Sasquatch, we could hear them at night. They were watching us, and the sides of this ravine were like 25 or 30 feet in some areas, really steep, and they were looking down at us. We could hear them. We could hear them breathing and shuffling around, but they would not interact. They would not knock or clack rocks or say any word. They would not utter any sounds intentionally other than we could hear them shuffling around and breathing heavy. You could hear that, but that's about, they were watching us. And
Wow.
here's all the white folks in this Native American area. And the Sasquatch and Native Americans go back hundreds, if
Yeah,
not thousands of years.
I believe it. Yeah.
And so they have a symbiotic relationship, the Sasquatch and the Native Americans. So we get there Saturday night. We decide to go ahead and go back because everybody's got to pick up and go back on Sunday morning. So we go back, and I decide to leave a camera because, if you leave a trail camera, you're never going to get a photo. But if you don't leave one, you're seriously never, ever going to get a photo. So I left a trail cam by this log, and I was going to go by and get it on the way home in Kansas City, 325 miles away. So I get up, I leave Harold and tell him goodbye, and I drive over to this area, go down to get my camera. And there were those rocks.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's like gifts.
That it's a gift, but it's also a statement. Those five rocks on the end, that big pointy rock is me. I'm the leader of the expedition. Now, sometimes when I tell this, I start getting teary eyed because it's one of those aha moments. But anyhow,
Yeah.
the other end of the rock, other end is Harold because he's kind of a short, pudgy guy.
Yeah.
And he was there, but he wasn't there. They knew he was in the truck staying in touch with us by radio. So I call him up. I'm going, Harold, you're not going to freaking believe this. And I told him the story. He's going, oh my God, how did they, what, that wasn't there when we were there. I know they weren't there. They came after we left and they put that there.
That's
There
amazing.
were six people and there's six rocks. Me and the expedition goers behind me, and then Harold's on the other end of the rock who was there but wasn't there. So I'm flipping, and so I call my wife and say, "Okay, I'm on my way." And I told her what was going on. She's going, "What time was this?" I said, "Well, I don't know. We left last night, Saturday, probably 7:30. It was October. It was cold, so we were a little nippy." So I said, "Why you ask?" She said, "Well, last night about 8:30, I'm getting ready for bed, and a blue orb just flies into our bedroom, does two or three circles, does a couple of little loop de loops, flies into the bathroom and disappears."
Wow. That's crazy.
It's just it makes me sad and happy because they're communicating with me. We know who you are. You respected the area. You didn't dig up. You didn't destroy anything. You didn't damage any of the redug graves that were an abomination to them because they have that relationship with the Sasquatch people. What else could that have been?
That's awesome. That's like
If
a respectful thing, going on right there.
Yeah, it was just like, and when I tell you now that they come to me at night, because my wife and I don't sleep very well, so we meditate to get in the mood and eventually drift off to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, every now and then I will wake up and I'm laying in bed, I'm looking up, and there's a hole. It's like I'm in a hole, a deep hole in the ground, and there's grass all around this edge of this hole. It's like somebody just dug a hole and the grass is still just around the edge. And I'm looking up and the Sasquatch are looking down at me. I see three or four heads looking down at me through this hole. And it feels like it's about 6 feet deep. And they're just looking at me. I'm going, where are you? And two or three times they've said, home. This is home. And they will show me their family laying around, sticking holes in the ground. The kids are playing, they're sticking holes, looking for grubs and mice. The parents are just kind of laying around like fat humans after too much food and a picnic. They're just laying around on logs, on fallen trees, just a day in the life. And they show me that.
That's awesome.
And there's and I can hear the eye rolls now, but I'm sorry, folks, that's that's the truth.
Oh, you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that, but then you're gonna see people coming forward and go, "Whoa, I had
Oh
a
yeah,
similar
yeah.
thing."
But it
Yeah.
was just, it's like, oh my God, the orb. And it was like all the things I believed them to be able to do, I got it in one weekend. The orb, the rocks, the blue orb flying around, materializing out of nowhere and flying around my bedroom. And my wife's sitting there going, what is this? You
Yeah.
know,
It's not the
and
first time I've heard something about the blue orb or different color orbs and
yeah,
something
yeah.
connected with them.
And
It's
so it was just,
interesting.
it was just a monumental event,
That's
and
amazing.
it doesn't look like much. It's just a rocks on a log, but it's the story that goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, anyway, it's just I've made contact, or they have made contact with me because they know I respect the habituation families that I'm dealing with. They know I respect the Native American burial area, and I respect them as a race. I don't hunt them. I would never even think about shooting one or even throwing a rock at one. It just doesn't occur to me. They're another living being on this planet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, uh, you know, and I've got all kinds of, it's just, it keeps happening. I've probably had that vision from them, times, not often, about once a year since 2019. And if I need it or want it, I'm sure it would happen more.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't, I talk to them every now and then. I don't get responses, and I'm not looking for them. I'm just thinking out loud. Hey, was that you guys? Uh, the barred owls that are in my backyard. I guarantee you, those are not owls. They sound like them, but they're like 10 times too loud.
Well, do you believe? Do you believe they like mind speak with you and all that too?
Yeah, no, yeah, they've. I've got another story with Mind Streak, and my wife was there for that too, and she got baptized. Really, yeah, I took her to uh, the first time I led an expedition for BFRO, 2012, 13, somewhere in there, 11 or 12, 12 or 13. Uh, I had taken over for another guy who was not at all popular. He was just a really not a nice person, you know. And he's been fired twice, and he's not going to be doing expeditions for BFRO anymore. But anyway, I took over, and we were waiting. Well, what I had done, we had about 24 people. I let about 8 or 9 people leave. We stayed by our area where we had camped, and they were going to do about a 1 mile walk around this. And I showed them where the trail was, and I showed them where the street, where the road was, out in the middle of this. It's Mark Twain National Forest, is where it was here in Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, they got lost as soon as they left. I'm going, God, I shouldn't have let them go. Dang it, you stupid fool. But anyway, I'm calling myself stupid fool for letting them go, because I should have let them stay here, and I should have taken a group. But anyway, they got lost, and we had horrible radio transmittals because we were down on a holler, and they were up on higher ground. So just breaking up all the time. You couldn't hear them, but I got the words, "We're lost. I think we missed our turn." So I got that much out of them, and they had missed the turn. So I said, "Okay, everybody, we're going to be real quiet here. We're going to sit here quiet, and we're going to wait for them to come back. So you got to be quiet, because I want to hear for them, because transmissions weren't happening very well." And so, and I had the only thermal back then. Nobody had thermal. I was lucky enough. I had money, and I could buy a thermal. I had a little thermal camera, and so I was watching through the woods to see if I could see them, and I couldn't see anything, because I was just looking for heat signatures. That's all I was looking for, because the radios, as far as I was concerned, were crapping out. So eventually, I hear something and I see a heat signature. I'm looking at it. I'm going, God, finally they're here. Okay, I think they're here, guys. Just be still, be quiet. Let's just make sure. Well, it wasn't them. It was a Sasquatch, and it was walking up this trail, which is the trail they were supposed to be coming to meet us at. And we were sitting there in absolute silence. And it took one step, and I'm watching this thing. I went, and I gasped. I was just like, what the heck did I do that for? But I gasped, and it heard that, and it took one step. The second step, when I gasped, it vanished. It blew up as like a flash bulb went off in front of my face. I couldn't see anything. There was, like these spots in front of your eyes after a flash bulb goes off. I was going, oh my God. And it was gone. Just like that. It just vanished. My first expedition for BFRO and the guys that brought me in were absolute dumb ape only. You do not believe in any of this other stuff. They are not paranormal or anything. They're just dumb apes. They can't do any of the things people tell you. So I'm going, okay, well, I got baptized again. So it was gone. It was gone. And they came walking up 5 minutes later. And I was still trying to recover from seeing that thing just vanish. So that area became my research area, and it's in Ellington, Missouri, at what's the name? Current River Conservation Area, very active area. And I took my wife there about a year later to go camping because I told her what had happened. And she's going, yeah, okay, whatever. But she believes everything. She's experienced enough. She's going, I got you. I believe you. I can't. And she was there when I was found out I was abducted as well. So she's, whether she wanted to be a part of all this or not, she's become a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm we go camping, just her and I, and we camp at this one of the they have a lot of areas there. They're called they have food blocks where they just feed all the wildlife, from the bugs to the bears. They're food plots is what they're called. There's no hunting on these food plots because animals go there knowing they're safe from hunters, because you're not allowed to hunt the food plots because there's food everywhere. There's, salt blocks and food and stuff that the rangers come out and leave, once a month or whatever they do. So they, everybody has a chance to eat. The bees, hummingbirds, everything's got food for the food chain out there. So we camp at one of the food plots, and I take her over to where this Sasquatch disappeared because it's just around the corner. And we're walking down, and you can't drive into these food plots. You have to park outside. So I parked outside this steel gate. I backed my SUV up to it. We walk down, and there's another long trail. It's about 50 yards, this one. And I'm walking down, and all of a sudden my wife is going, okay, I've had enough. I'm creeped out. I don't want to be here. I'm creeped out. I believe you. Let's go. I said, no. Everything's fine. They live here. This is where they live. This is an area they frequent. So you're just picking up on the weird vibe. I don't care. We're going back. So you're not going back because I got the keys and they're in my pocket. We're going to go down to where this thing disappeared in front of me. Then we'll go back. So I said, look, the car is just right up there. And I looked up to where I'd parked my car. It's gone. I'm shining the light at this gate I backed into, and my SUV is not there. It's gone. I'm going, where's my SUV? Where's the Jeep? What do you mean? You're shining your light right on it. I said, no, it's not there. What do you mean? It's not there. Where is it? And I shined my light just out of a reaction because she's totally freaking out now. And I shine my light down to where we're headed. And there is my car at the bottom of this ravine, backed up. Impossible for it to be there because there's no way I could have. There's no way you can drive there. Totally inhospitable to traffic. So what do you mean? I'm shining my light. There's my car. How did it get down there? What do you mean? There's no car. Your car's not there. What the heck is? Are you stoned? What the heck's wrong with you? You know, I'm going. No. How did it get there? And then I shine it back up there. And she's going, look, it's right there. I said, no, it's not there. I'm shining my light. What do you see? You think that gate is my car? It's not it. And this goes back on for about 10 minutes. And she's going, I'm out of here. I don't care. I'm leaving.
I'm out.
And suddenly I shine my light back and forth one more time and it's back to normal. So they put this vision in my head that my car was somewhere it was totally impossible to be. My wife's freaking out because I'm freaking out. And she says, your car is not there. What the hell are you doing? I said, I saw my car there as clear as a bell. You know me. I'm not stoned or drinking or anything. You know that. And so she trusts my judgment, and she'd heard that story about the one vanishing, and I told her this was the place that it vanished, and they live in this area because other people have been there and they've had weird things. So it continues. It's just, the paranormal aspect, the quantum, paranormal, metaphysical, whatever you want to call it, is a real thing.
Do you, a quick question for you. Do you ever contact Ron Moorhead about that, the quantum stuff too?
With commentary by Ron Moorhead.
Yep, right there. Okay.
First book.
That's awesome.
No, we talked about some of this, and
Okay.
he did commentary on the book. So we haven't spoken here in a couple, 2 or 3 years. He's getting kind of older, and he moved to the Carolinas. And
Yeah, I've had him on the show before in the past, and he was talking because I didn't know anything about the quantum stuff, and he was talking a bit about it, schooling me on it. I'm like, wow, that's amazing because I never thought about that. The whole quantum physics stuff. So that's pretty interesting.
yeah, call it whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Quantum, metaphysical, paranormal.
Yeah.
I don't use the dirty word woo.
Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people say, I don't know about the woo side of it, and I understand, but
it's an insulting term. It's dismissive toward what is really going on.
Yeah. And that's the thing when it comes to the Bigfoot world and Sasquatch world, whatever you want to call them. People all different views and opinions on it, and they always say set stone on what they think, and then you got to open your mind because there's a lot going on. Open your mind of possibilities. We're all going to have opinions. We could be wrong. We could be right.
Yeah. So that's kind of my world. I've got all kinds of stories in all my books, and people are experiencing them. They're a lot of people are seeing UFOs on their property right before or right after a Sasquatch event, or are seeing a Sasquatch right before or right after a UFO event.
Yeah.
And so
some kind of connection going on there.
There's a connect. Yeah. The family where I was sitting on the front porch and, throwing rocks and twigs and had my name called back. They've had one they said was probably 100 yards long. I've been to their house several times. It went from one end of where you could see to where you couldn't see the other end of it. It was massive. It was a long cigar shaped, and it was just going by really slow.
Wow.
Either for them to get a good look, or it was mapping, or just going slow because it goes slow. I don't know. But they all discuss that in their interactions with the Sasquatch people. There's just it happens as often or as infrequently as either party wants to mess with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
just an unspoken truce.
You got a point there, and
That's all it is. Is like, here I am. I believe in you. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to shoot you. And they've already had those conversations where they know they're not, because they hunt. The Sasquatch people do not like frivolous hunting. They do not like sport hunting, hunting just for the heck of it to get a rack on your wall. They
yeah,
do not.
yeah,
They do not want you trashing the land, the water, anything like that. They're purists. They want us to save the earth. They don't want us to have wars. They don't like the racism. They don't like any of that. We have turned this world into a crappy place right
we
now.
have,
You
we
you
have.
know,
I have to
it's
agree
garbage.
with you.
It's horrible. The hate and the violence and the racism and all of that is just, it's not something they want. And that's really what they're here for, is to keep us from doing
Mm-hmm.
bad things to the earth and
And
our fellow man and other animals.
yeah, unfortunately, I don't think mankind's gonna stop. I think they're gonna continue doing what they're doing, and all we can do is try to send a message and say, we need to make a stand and stop. But are we
Mhm.
gonna be listened to? These powerful people just keep going and
Yeah,
bringing us on the wrong path.
yeah,
So
yeah. But and all these prints in the background, that's but they're just footprints. I mean, two are mine from properties, and the other two, one is Patty on the left, and this one here is Freeman, the Freeman foot.
oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I got
Yeah,
one right here above my head over here.
is that the
I
Freeman?
I can't remember which one. My wife got that for me, a gift. I can try to get it up a little better there. I can't remember what that one was. I
I
remember,
can't tell.
yeah, I have to
Well,
go
but
and
that's bigger than the Patty film. The Patty foot is not really big,
yeah.
but
My wife got it for me from a gift from the Cliff's museum because where I live in Sandy, Cliff was living over there, and
well, yeah, Cliff has this handprint in his museum.
yeah, he has quite the museum. I've been in there like 3 times when I lived over
Yeah,
there and up there, I should say, and
yeah. My
it was
former
pretty awesome.
partner, uh, his brother lived in Washington State,
Gotcha. Yeah.
and he went up there and just called Cliff because he's actually the one who got that handprint, found it in one of our areas that we mine for evidence. And Cliff said, "Yeah, oh, that's the real deal," because it's got dermal ridges all over it, just
Mm-hmm.
like the prints. It's got dermal ridges.
Yeah,
You know,
he's became quite the expert when it comes to that. That's for sure.
yeah,
When I seen him sharing what in the museum, I was like, wow, he's definitely got his work down. So,
yeah.
but yeah, Carter, I really enjoy having you on. I feel like I can do multiple episodes with you, to be honest.
Oh, you
So,
probably could. What time is it? 3:30. What are we supposed to? We're done here in a few minutes, right?
yeah, go ahead and if you want, you can plug in where people can find you, and
Oh yeah.
we'll
Well,
go ahead.
uh, I uh, I got rid of my webpage because people were going on there and taking some of my photos and using them for themselves. Shocking
Gotcha.
in the
Yeah,
Sasquatch community, right?
don't
So
surprise me one bit.
yeah, I got rid of it. They weren't photos that I was going to be sad if someone stole them, but I kind of knew they were going to
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't have any limits. You want to go to my website and order books and all that. So if you want to, I have books. My books are all color on glossy paper. They're very nicely done. There's no fake stuff in any of my books. There's no fake photos. There's no phony third, fourth, fifth hand. My grandpa told my mother, who told my aunt, who told my dead uncle that I saw a Sasquatch. There's none of that. It's all firsthand encounters, firsthand reports from the people experiencing them.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no fake fiction in any of my books. I don't do that. I don't care about that. There's no Sasquatch ate my dog and killed my children and ate my daughter. There's none of that garbage in there. It's all just factual, open-minded stuff. You just have to believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so my webpage, I'm self-published, so you can buy the book straight from me, save a couple of bucks. But SQ Explorer at gmail.com, Sasquatch, SQ Explorer at gmail.com. That's me. Email me. I'm self-published, like I said. I'll give you a deal if you buy more than 2 books. I mean, I'm just trying to get the word out.
Yeah,
But
I'll
they're
put that in
really
the
nice.
bottom description too for you, right? When I
Yeah,
release
they're
this.
very nicely done. Like I say, glossy paper, color. Uh, unless I don't have a color photo, but it's mostly color. So they're not cheaply done. And so that's how you find them. I autograph all the books. Of course, that brings the value down, but I will sign them for you if you want them. But I'll personalize them and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I'll have to get on there and get a few myself. That's for
yeah,
sure.
they're really, you won't be disappointed. They're good books, and these are all salt of the earth people telling me stories and things that I've experienced myself, and telling me their events, and I believe them, and I know them, and I trust them with all my life,
Hmm.
because they're just good salt of the earth people. And there's somebody listening to this right now who has had an experience they just don't want to talk about
Hmm.
because of fear of ridicule.
Yep. There's a
So
lot of them out there. So
yeah, so that's all these people were scared to death
yeah,
to talk until I convinced them. Okay, I'm not going to put you in a report. I'm not going to put your name, address, phone, nothing.
keep it private, right?
Just
So
tell me.
it's a good point that you say that because I've had a handful of people that reach out to me and they say they don't want to come on the show right now. They're not comfortable, but they wanted to share some stuff with me, and they did. And I don't put their names out there, and they have
Yeah,
similar
well,
things
that's
like
how
you.
you get
So
the good stuff. As long
yeah.
as you maintain your honest approach
Hmm.
and don't disappoint them, and so I put copyright marks on all my photos and all my books. And
Yeah.
so if someone wants to
Yeah.
steal one, well, okay, I know where you live because I mailed you a book. So don't do that. I'm just kidding. I'm not that kind. But but you, but like Blake, like we were talking about, if you get someone to talk to you, they will tell somebody else. Talk to this guy Blake. He's a good guy. He's not going to rat you out.
Hmm.
And so you can eventually get a rapport with a good group of people,
Yeah.
witnesses or researchers that know you're not going to divulge.
Yeah, what's amazing with you too, Carter, is that you pretty much answered almost all my questions I was going to ask you. And I was like, well, crap, he already answered that one. He answered this one. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I
Well,
don't need to
sorry.
ask some questions and, just say, agree or have a, opinion on something. And it's been
Mhm.
an honor having you on. So that's why I was
Well,
like,
it's been a
wow.
blast. I'd like to,
Yeah.
I'd like to do this again. We should probably talk about my abduction book
Oh, yeah. I
next.
want you to go on the calendar and put another day or time that you want to come on. It could be any time you want to try to do it. And we'll
Yeah.
do the
Uh,
abduction one. So,
in the let's see, we're doing 340. My abduction book. I was abducted when I was 7 or 8, Dallas, Texas. Be about 1958 or 59. I'm 74 now. I didn't find out till I was 43 that I'd been abducted. I found out by accident by going to get hypnotized with my wife and another couple to see if we had past lives.
mm-hmm.
We were just sitting around one night and decided, hey, let's look up a regressionist. And back in 2004, when this happened, you could look in the phone book. Well, we still had phone books. I looked up hypnotic regressionist. I found one, called her, and we went.
Wow.
And I was the last to go. And I started screaming and crying like a little 8-year-old kid, freaking everybody out. I was sobbing, crying like a crazy fool. And that's when I discovered I had been abducted in front of my house in Dallas, Texas. I mean, it was just like, what? You gotta be kidding me. Not again.
Yeah, it's funny that you said it because if you go back in my past episode, I talk about I had a weird alien dream and it felt so vivid and real, and it I don't know, it was weird. It was a weird dream. It felt like there was something there. I seen these beings and I seen these tall beings in the doorway, and everything was lit up, And I remember when I looked at them and noticed they weren't humans, they looked something different, except the ones in the doorway. They kind of looked like Nordic people, but tall.
Yeah.
And I just remember I freaked out and went, Jesus, Jesus. And then I woke up. It was weird.
Have you ever been regressed, hypnotically regressed?
No, no, but it was a weird one. And Ride told me, "You sure you weren't abducted?" I go, "I don't know. I think it might have been just a dream." Because I did a few days or a week before that. I said, "Come visit me. I want to know if your guys are out there."
Yeah.
So that was a weird one. It was a weird
I've
one.
talked to a lot of women, and if I name some names, or some of them are researchers that I don't want you talking about this, but I need to get your book because I think something happened to me. And several women were impregnated, taken out the window, flown up to a craft, impregnated, brought back down to their bedroom. 3, 4 months later, they come back, get the fetus from the human lady, and do their 4 month gestation, like you see where they're in vats. They put them in the big vats of liquid, and they mature. A few of them have been taken again and shown their babies.
Wow. I think I've heard something like that before, a story like that.
Oh yeah, I've got several. You know, I was used for the hybridization. Me and my buddy, they used us for hybridization. They called it melding and meshing, but we were taken for reproductive purposes.
Wow.
There's a little Carter running around up there somewhere. Better watch out. Lock your doors. you know, I don't know what I can't vouch for that guy. I don't know. He's from another planet, literally.
Makes you really wonder, don't it? Because it's, I feel like people like us are coming forward and open minded and talking about our experience from our childhood until now. I mean, I've had a lot of weird stuff happen, paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
Possibly had a Bigfoot sighting. It's just like, I'm unsure. I'm unsure, but I know something happened.
Yeah.
So
Well, if you got a couple of $100 laying around, it might help. If you're really dying and curious, go get regressed.
yeah, I might have to do that down the road. Yeah. So
It's and I can find you. I can help. Depending on where. So you're down in Texas. Uh, you know, you're very close to Dolores Cannon. You know who Dolores Cannon is?
no, I don't know.
Yeah, she's one of the world premier people for regression. And her daughter, she died in 2014, I think, 15. But I went under with her 2005, 2010. And she is look up Dolores Cannon and look up her QHHT school. Her daughters still run it in Arkansas. You're not that far from it. But they have state of the art hypnotist. Whatever you do not do it online. You need to be live in person. Do
Yeah.
not something like this online.
Okay.
But anyway, well, thanks for having me. It's been great. Now I've
Yeah.
got to go cook dinner for my wife. I mean,
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
all these things I was going to do today, so now I got to go,
I go
cook
cook
food.
dinner.
Yeah.
I hear you.
But so can I use the Calendly thing?
Yeah, go ahead and go on
want-
there and pick another day of whatever day you want to come on or time, and we'll
Yeah,
do it. I can send it to you in the messenger too, so that way it's in there so you can see
yeah.
it.
Send me a clean one because I don't know,
Yeah. Yeah,
But
you can look
anyway,
through the days and
let's
we'll pick it
go
and do it
last.
again. Yeah.
I could, we could talk a whole other hour and a half on Sasquatch stuff. I got so many
Yeah.
stories and events, and it's
Yeah.
just bizarre. But it's the gift that keeps giving. These people
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
calling me because they trust me.
Yeah, I definitely would
know,
like to bring you on multiple times if I can. That's what I tell my past guests. I've had other guests like Al. He's been on my show like 3 times. I'm gonna bring him back on too because I know he's out there researching, so I have to catch up with him and see what he's up to. And he's
who's
up
this?
in New York, so
Who's this?
his name's Al. You ever heard of Al? I can't pronounce his last name. I'm terrible with last names. Let me see if I can find it here. You know what? I'll send a name to you in the private
Yeah,
messenger, so you might know
it's
who he is.
it's entirely likely. I do a few conferences here. I don't get invited to speak at those because of my paranormal beliefs.
Yeah.
And I, I'm not about selling coffee mugs and T-shirts. I'm about talking what's really going on. So I don't care
Yeah.
about that stuff.
I hear you
I'd like
there.
to be able to do it, but I am doing I may actually be up in Oregon doing a presentation next year. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a beautiful state. It's just, getting, pretty expensive there, and politics views is getting a little messing it up a little bit. But
Yeah,
other than
yeah,
that, it's a great, beautiful state, and a lot of Bigfoots there for sure.
yeah. No, I know. I've got a really good friend that lives up there, and so
So
I could probably stay with him. So, but let's do it again. Send me that calendar link, and I'll figure out something. Figure out a date that's going to work for the abduction. It's a fascinating story. It really
yeah, I want to
is.
hear it. So we'll definitely bring that on.
It's bizarre. It's really
So,
bizarre. Yeah.
all
So
right,
enjoyed it, Big Daddy.
all right. Thanks for coming on, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, send me a link so I can share it.
I will. It'll
right.
be out probably in a week or two. So
Okay.
all right. Take care.
See you, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, guys, that's the show. I hope you enjoyed the show. I really enjoy bringing people like him on because I think it's important to hear other people's open-minded and research and experience and hearing from the source, and that's what's important about the show. So I wanted to do for you guys real quick before I end the show is show some of these photos to you. So let's bring them up here real quick. But like he said, you can reach out to him, and I'll put his links in below the description, so be sure to check that out and check out his books. I'm definitely going to go check out his books, I'll tell you what. I really enjoyed listening to him. I didn't have, I wanted to ask some questions. I did here and there, but he answered a lot of them. He did a good job just answering the questions I wanted to ask, so I really thought that was awesome. I don't like interrupting my guests either, so I like letting them speak, and that's what it's about. So let's go ahead and check out these photos real quick, guys. So let me bring them up here. Bear with me. We'll go ahead and set it on the reaction here. Oh, crap. Hold on a second. Okay, I think I got it. There we go. Boom. Check that out, guys. I hope you can see it, because I don't know for sure. Here's his book. There's another one. Sasquatch, Evidence of an Enigma 3. Sorry. I can't speak half the time, guys. I find that very fascinating, the hand there. Could be a possible foot, he said. Look at that book. I'm just showing you the books. If I click through too fast, you can pause the video. If you're listening to this on audio, be sure to go on YouTube and you can check it out from there. This is just a little file for me to read. Here's some photos of the thing. Look at that. See the hairs on there, fingerprint. That is interesting right there. There's that one. You see something here, looks like fingers. Better picture I can see right now. That's why I wanted to show these up on the end. There's the deer and there's the hand. That's awesome. Okay, let's see. There's that. That's a fascinating hand. The face right here, look at that. Isn't that interesting? You see the hand here. Wow. There's another picture of a hand or a foot. It's weird. Look at the fingertips and stuff. It's strange looking. Wow. That is an interesting one there. Here, he just wanted to show the shadow of the tree lay down. Still, when I showed that photo, I saw something back there look interesting. I don't know what to make of that. Makes me wonder if something right there I'm putting there. Very interesting, if you ask me. So, all right. Okay, so that was the show, guys. I hope you enjoyed. So make sure you check out Carter. I really enjoyed him having him on the show. And there's going to be more guests coming on and sharing their experience and research. Let me know what you think of the show. Leave a comment, and I'll take any opinions on what you think I'm doing wrong or doing right. That's okay if you think I'm doing wrong. I'll still do it the way I want to do it. I really enjoy having him on the show, guys. So if you'd like to come on the show, be sure to email me at mountainmanett@gmail.com, or you can message me on Facebook, guys. So until next time, let's explore the truth together. Have a good one, my friends.